Hey everyone, it's Lindsay. I'm here to talk about mental and emotional health. Just an introduction. What is mental and emotional health? Why is it important? Why is this one of the classes that's required of a public health major? Why did you choose to take this class if you're not a public health major? So our first question is, what is mental and emotional health, big picture wise? And then how is this different from other dimensions of health? To answer that, we want to look back and think about the dimensions of wellness. The dimensions of health or dimensions of wellness have evolved over time. Some people list 5, some people list 6, 7, 8, depends on how people separate them out. The one I usually use the most is the dimensions of wellness that has 8 different dimensions of wellness, those being financial, social, spiritual, occupational, physical, intellectual, environmental, and emotional. Oftentimes the intellectual and emotional can go back and forth because, as we'll talk about in this class, brain function and how we see the world are interconnected, and that's where mental health sort of comes from. It's this hybrid between some intellectual health as well as some emotional health, and just thinking about sort of where we come from, right? And so mental and emotional health is really about how do we handle the stress of life. Oftentimes when people come into this class, they think mental health is just mental illness, and we'll talk about mental illness in this class, but mental health is more than mental illness. We all have mental health, even if we don't all have mental illness. And so our mental health is comprised of a lot of different factors: how we cope with the stress of life, how we deal with other people, the sort of satisfying relationships that we have, if we do have mental illness, and those sort of things. It's all stuff that's going on kind of up here in our brain, which in a second we'll talk about why that makes it sometimes difficult to talk about mental and emotional health. Why is it important to the study of public health and health sciences in general? Why should we do these sort of things, right? We have a number of required courses in our department about different sort of topics, whether it be epidemiology or community health. Mental and emotional health is a one that is a little bit odd. It stands out to the side as being different, but it's also one of our most critical ones. Why is that? Well, when we think about mental health, we have to think about how mental health connects to the other dimensions of health. Mental health, we know based on readings and based on science and evidence that bad mental health can have an impact on all of our other dimensions of health, right? If we have bad mental health, oftentimes that leads to bad physical health. If you're too depressed to get out of bed, if you're anxious and too worried to leave your house, that might have an impact. We also know that if your mental health is affecting your physical health, it might impact your financial health. If you're too depressed to go to work, if you're feeling too mentally ill to be able to maintain a job, that can lead to bad financial health. And so it has those direct effects. Then also we can see how the other dimensions of health can have a direct effect on our mental and emotional health. So take bad financial health. What if you lost your job? If you lost your job, then finances would be pretty tight, right? And so that would lead to some mental health distress. You would be worried, you would be nervous, you would be thinking about these sort of things. That stress response on the immune system could then lead you to have bad physical health, right? We also know that bad mental health might lead to other health behaviors, so drug use, other sort of things, which can again lead to bad mental health. So one of the reasons that me personally find mental health to be so fascinating and to be so important to the study of public health is because I really think of mental and emotional health as sort of the overarching dimension of health that kind of goes hand in hand over, through, and under all the other dimensions of health. All the other dimensions of health could have different sort of effects on some of the other dimensions, but mental and emotional health definitely has effects on every dimension of health. And sometimes that can be the key thing that makes us either healthy or not healthy in the world. And so it's such a fundamental part. I really think of it as the foundation of all health is our mental and emotional health. Okay, so now our question is, why might it be hard, or why do people overlook it, or what is one of the reasons that we think about mental health as being less important than, say, physical health or other sort of things? Why do we see it missing from a lot of different health programming sort of things? Well, a lot of it has to do with that whole it's in your brain thing, right? If we can't see something, we often dismiss it. And so physical health, when we think about that, what does it look like? Well, it could look like a broken bone. It could look like some sort of disability. We have tests for physical health, so we can look at blood tests, we can do x-rays, we can do scans, all those sort of things that gives us a tactile sort of sense of what physical health is. Now let's take, say, financial health. What does financial health look like? Well, if we look at our bank accounts, we'll know, right? If we have a lot of money, we're usually doing okay. If we don't have a lot of money, things get kind of tense and hard, right? When we look at our credit scores, for example, we can look at our historical sort of measure of financial health. Have we had good credit practices? Have we borrowed within our means, spent within our means? That would give us some sort of tactile proof of our financial health. Well, with mental health, we don't really have those sort of things, right? When you tell somebody, I feel depressed, right? Well, we can think about sort of symptomatic sort of stuff. So not getting out of bed, having these sort of things. But then a lot of people will attribute that to other sort of things like, oh, you're just being lazy, or you're just being dramatic, or all these other sort of things. And when it comes to testing, there is no physical sort of test to test for mental health. We'll talk a little bit about some of the new frontiers and brain science and MRIs and PET scans and all those other sort of things. But for the most part, mental health remains invisible. And so for a lot of people, the invisible nature of it is what makes it something that is easy to doubt, hard to prove, and oftentimes why we dismiss it, right? When we think about mental health stigma, a lot of times people will say it's all in your head. Well, yes, of course it's in your head. That's where your mental health resides, but that doesn't mean it's not real, okay? So when we are thinking about these sort of things, we often think about stress, and we think about sort of the stress response and how that is the fundamental basis of all of our mental health. And so for this week, I want you to watch a video. Some of you may have seen it before. I know some other professors show it in some of their classes, but take a renewed look at what stress is, what we think about it, how we can reframe that to be a positive sort of thing, and how we can use that to utilize our mental health. Okay. I have some questions for you to think about as you watch the video and after the video, and how do these things change your perspective on mental health and emotional health. Okay. Finally, for the week, we have our moment of Zen. So at the end of every week, I'm going to have a moment of Zen, just a fun little way to talk about mental health in the real world, how we conceptualize it, how we work through it. And so this week, I'm going to introduce you to the spoon theory. There is a reading on Blackboard for you to look about the spoon theory. Spoon theory originated with people with chronic illness, but it's really been applied widely in a lot of ways. And for a lot of people with mental illness, spoon theory has become a very convenient way to explain how taxing it is to have this invisible sort of thing that is happening to you, but it has a really big effect on your life, okay? So for this week, you don't have a weekly reading prompt because it's the first week, so you're welcome. But I do want you to do a class activity, just a discussion, introduce yourself. What are your general thoughts as we start out the semester? And then next week, we'll go into history of mental and emotional health. You'll have a reading prompt due on Sunday, the 30th, and then you'll get some new stuff for that week that'll pop up on Blackboard. All right, bye.